What's up, guys? The Green Bay Packers got it done today with a 33-10 victory, and without a doubt, got the biggest win of the season over the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota in a must-win game between two NFC North rivals. Basically, the winner of this game keeps their playoff hopes alive. The loser basically goes down to like 2% chances to making the playoffs. So basically, you're out. Green Bay Packers got it fucking done today. I I don't think I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight. Uh, in fact, I know I'm not gonna be able to. Like, oh my gosh, just absolutely. And let me tell you. Let me start off by this: Green Bay never wins these fucking never. They win these games, but they never blow out teams. They never ever. And I'm almost positive every Green Bay Packers fan can speak for me. Green Bay never ever blows out teams ever. Very very rarely. But in a game where you needed to win, basically it was playoff vibes going into this game, and you needed to win. I did not think the Green Bay Packers were going to win today. I thought, you have Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. He blitzes 50 more times than anybody else in the league. I don't think Jordan does great when teams blitz him, like any quarterback. Um, and obviously you have Joe Barry on the other side, running this defense, and you had a Carolina team that last week that put up 30 points. I did not see this happening today. I thought the Vikings were going to win. They're in Minnesota, tough crowd, one of the loudest crowds in the NFL. But man, Jordan Love needed to play his best game of the year today to get this victory, to help out this defense, even though it's not what you want to happen. You want this defense with 8 first-round picks to help this offense. But no, you had Jordan Love come out, play his absolute best game of the year, and that's exactly what you needed. 24 for 33, 256 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 125 passer rating. Absolutely. Let me tell you, it feels so great to have him playing well right now. You know, he's definitely solidified himself as the next guy. For hopefully years to come. You know, what an absolute, just the way he throws the ball. They showed it on the telecast. It's so much like Favre, so much like Rodgers. It's just, it's reassuring that this question is answered. That we're going into this offseason. You don't have Green Bay worrying about a quarterback situation, and man, what a fucking game that he played. Aaron Jones, once again back healthy, had his second straight game of 100 yards rushing today, 20 carries, 120 yards, and a catch for 10 yards today. Aaron Jones absolutely is the engine to this offense. He gets everything going. He's just a different type of runner. He's small, he's quick, he's agile. He's a superstar. He's a superstar running back, and until Green Bay realizes it, they'll never actually be at their highest potential, because Aaron Jones, even though he's 29 years old, even though thousands of people say that's too old for a running back, you got to draft new, this guy needs a fucking lifetime contract with the Packers. Yeah, I'm emotional right now, but this man absolutely runs this offense. He averages like 5 yards a carry. Like this, he is he's the epitome of what Green Bay Packers is. He definitely carries the fucking G. Absolutely love Aaron Jones, and I love him at the end. Like he was getting punched at the post game handshakes, and he was just like giving out L's to the Vikings players. Like that guy epitomizes carrying the G. Love that guy, and as I keep talking about the offensive line played absolutely great fucking football. Held the Vikings defensive line to 0 sacks today. You got Danielle Hunter. I think he's still leading the NFL in sacks today. Held him to 0 sacks. Credit to Zach Tom, 4th-round pick from last year. Just absolutely solidifying himself as one of the top right tackles in the NFL. Go watch film on Zach Tom. That guy is one of the best right tackles in all of football. And it's nice to have one of those spots solidified for years to come. Love Zach Tom. super versatile as well. Um, and let me talk about these Packers receivers. And let me just say this too. You know, I'm a crazy football fan. I constantly look at mock drafts all throughout the week, Monday through Friday. I'm looking at different type of mocks, seeing what people think. And there's some mocks where it's like Packers need to grab a receiver, in the first, second, third round. And obviously, like, that'd be great. You want to give Jordan Love another weapon, but man, it is so crazy how these past few weeks and this year, Green Bay has, let me see, 6 receivers that are really producing good stats for this team, to the point where it's like, one of these 6 guys are gonna eventually cut through and be that breakout guy. It might be, I think it's Jaden Reed at this point. Maybe if Watson ever gets healthy, that he could eventually be that guy. Maybe Dontavian Wicks, but man, I don't think we need to draft a wide receiver. Maybe you might not have to draft a receiver at all this next draft and just focus on other positions, because seriously, today you have Bo Melton, a 7th round pick last year from Seattle that was put on their practice squad, and credit to whoever the Green Bay scout guys are, or if it's Brian Gutekunst, finding this guy on the Seattle's practice squad and signing this guy, late last year, and he's somehow made it through and got playing time today. He became the first Packers receiver this year to go over 100 yards. Yeah, that sounds kind of crazy. The first Packers receiver to go over 100 yards this year, but he got he caught 6 passes for 105 yards and a touchdown. Bo Melton, a guy out of Rutgers, absolute dog. I had loved him coming out of the draft a couple years ago. Obviously, Seattle drafted him, but led the team today. I would have never guessed starting this year that Bo Melton would be helping this team out and be a key contributor to the Packers keeping their playoffs lives at bay. Jaden Reed, man, let me talk about Jaden Reed for a minute. 6 catches, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns, broke Sterling Sharp's single season receptions, catches, and I think yards for a rookie wide receiver. Absolute fucking dog. I love Jaden Reed. And let me tell you, one of my biggest mistakes to date is I was studying like 25 different receivers going into this year's draft, because I knew the Packers needed a receiver and they were going to draft one, so I studied about 25 guys. When I came to Jaden Reed, the man, I watched about a lot of film on him, but every time I would just turn it off, or I would get so bored, I just couldn't see anything. He had a 6.7 RAS score. He's a bit smaller, and Green Bay always goes for the long, tall guys, a la Jordy Nelson, a la Devontae Adams, you name it, all those guys, Greg Jennings. But so I just thought, and obviously a low RAS score. Typically Green Bay doesn't go for those guys. So when they drafted him in the 2nd round, I was a bit mad. I was very confused. But you know what? That's why I'm not a scout, and that's why the Packers are professionals at what they do. The man is an absolute steal. He is, no doubt, in my opinion, wide receiver number 1. I think a lot of Packers fans would agree. Jaden Reed, absolute fucking dog. He is such an easy guy to root for. I absolutely love the kid. Didn't play in the second half because of a chest injury. I think it was because they had a big lead, so they just kind of they just wanted to keep him safe and put him out. But man, you absolutely need Jaden Reed next week. You need Dontavian Wicks, who didn't play this week because of an injury. He didn't practice all week, and so you just need those 2 next week, and I just cannot fucking wait. Tucker Kraft, another guy who's absolutely ascending. The third round tight end, 6 catches for 48 yards. It was absolutely just kept them, above the chains, and helped them out. Helped Jordan Love out on, those mid-range passes just to keep the chains moving. Romeo Doubs, 3 catches for 28 yards. Malik Heath, 1 catch for 13 yards. Man, once again, so you got Bo Melton, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson when he gets back, Malik Heath, who's an undrafted guy out of Ole Miss, who's playing really well and made some big catches this year. You got Jaden Reed. You got Dontavian Wicks, who's been absolutely great and has huge potential as well. That's like 5, 6 guys right there that are all really healthy. I don't think you need to go out in free agency next year and get a wide receiver, like a big time wide receiver. I think you should just stick with these guys and help grow. And what's crazy is all these um, all these receivers are combined total, their salary is $7.5 million, which is crazy because if you think about it, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, former Packer who's now on the Chiefs, he's making $10 million this year alone. $10 million. And yet this whole wide receiver staff is making $7.5 million, which is absolutely crazy. But man, this offense looked great. Offensive line played super phenomenal. I hope we get Luke Musgraves back. And with him and Tucker Kraft at the double tight end position, oh my gosh, this offense could go to the next fucking level. I cannot fucking wait. Let me just get to the defense real quick. Joe Barry dialed up a lot of blitzes today. Did not see that coming because Green Bay does not practice blitzes very well. So I just, it's so crazy to see, like, Joe Barry played a great game. You know, he coordinated a great game, I should say. And, Corey Ballantyne, who got a pick today, subbing in for Eric Stokes, who unfortunately got on IR again this year. Horrible shit for him. But Keyshawn Nixon had a half a sack today. Quay Walker had a sack. Isaiah McDuffie got a half a sack. Devontae Wyatt got a half a sack. Kobe Wood in the 4th round pick got a half a sack. And Preston Smith, who, he's an absolute fucking dog. I love Preston Smith. I was always, between the Smith brothers, I was always a Za'Darius guy. And you know what? Preston is an absolute dog. He will always carry the fucking G forever. I love that guy. He had a great sack today. And, it's crazy because for the defense, you had obviously Jair, who was suspended for this game because of last week's incident with the coin toss. Man, it is going to be so interesting what they do next week because they, what do they do with the cornerback situation? Do you have Jair come back and play against this Bears team, or do you stick with the hot hands and Ballantyne and Valentine? It's like, you have these the 7th round pick and then this random 6th round pick. Like, do you stick with these guys that have been playing hot, they're like 4-0 as a cornerback tandem, or do you have Jair, who's been hurt all year and he's the highest paid corner in the league? Do you have him back and play this next game and ruin that continuity? It's gonna be so interesting what they do. Obviously, dumb me should be like, yeah, Jair should be starting next week. He's a difference maker when healthy. But, man, it's going to be interesting what they do because Ballantyne and Valentine have no doubt been a great fucking tandem so far. Excuse me. And, man, I'm so hyped right now. Jordan Love played an absolute fucking game. The Vikings, in a must-win game, you had Jaren Hall, the rookie, starting, today's game. He was like 5 for 10 with like 50 yards or something. And the first half played like absolute shit, had an interception. It's unfortunate for the Vikings because I think Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. And, that team would be so different, with him playing this year. But that's just kind of how things played out. They made the switch. The Vikings made the switch at halftime, putting in Nick Mullins, who, fun fact, with some of my best friends, I actually got to meet Nick Mullins and talk to him for a couple minutes down in Mississippi when he played for Southern Miss. Had a great time, talking to him just for a second and hanging out with my friends. So that was a great core memory. So, I wanted to see him do good things. I was talking with my buddy, who played with Nick Mullins in Southern Miss, and we're both like, yeah, Joe Barry's gonna give him a lot of help. He's gonna boost him up his stats, but thankfully, he didn't go too crazy. He had a touchdown, but it was kind of like one of those garbage time situations. But man, Vikings, their defense just played absolutely like shit. Like there were just so many gashing openings on this off. Like these receivers were like wide open all game. It was kind of crazy. Like I don't know if again, credit to the O line, the Packers O line for doing great on the blitzes because, like I said, Brian Flores' defenses blitz 50 times more than anybody in the league. And man, I'm so hyped. I can't wait to see what this team does. This is this is the youngest football team in the NFL, and I'm just pleading to the football guys, please put this team in the playoffs next week. I just want them to get this experience now. I want them to, because they're not gonna win the Super Bowl. They're not gonna, but if they can just get that experience in the playoffs next week, that could help for something in the future. Because then next year they're gonna know those feelings that they had in the playoffs, like how they feel and all those nerves, and you could be less nervous next year potentially if they make it to the playoffs next year. So I want them to get it now in Jordan Love's first season with all these guys on rookie deals that are making, basically pennies, and it's crazy because like there's so much drama. There's so much drama this week with Jair Alexander and the decisions of Brian Gutekunst not suspending Jair, and there's so many people, Packer fans. I know so many Packer fans that were like, this is a dumb idea. Packers, in a must-win game, you can't suspend one of your best players for a game. But I didn't love it, but it's the Packers. It's such the Packers thing to do. They can't let things get off-brand. They need to discipline the guys when guys need to be disciplined, and I think it was the right move. And I think we just forget that. I think we forget that this team is overachieving. Nobody thought this team was going to be going like where they're at right now at the start of the season. Nobody thought this team could be one game away from being in the playoffs, and they're on the precipice of doing something great. This is one of the most exciting seasons. Yeah, they're 8-8. Yeah, they lost a lot of games to a lot of bad teams and bad quarterbacks, but this is one of the fun seasons. And now let me transition to next week, and let me tell you how important this is. But hold on one sec. So, let me just set up the stage. Next week at 3 o'clock, you have the Packers in a must-win game situation playing the Chicago Bears. And the Bears, who ultimately, they're 7-9, I believe, right now. Ultimately, after tonight's win with the Packers, they eliminated the Bears. But the Bears needed like a tie in that game. That was never going to happen. So they're eliminated. But if the Packers win against the Bears in Green Bay, they're in the playoffs. And this just absolutely sets up perfectly for a great game. I'm so excited. Packers-Bears, the best rivalry in all of sports. And let me just set up the stage. Last year, Green Bay was 4-8. They went off. Rodgers run the table. They won 4 straight games, including that 4th win being against the Minnesota Vikings, to set up what would be a home game against the Lions. And if they win, they're in. And ultimately, we know what happened. They lost to the Lions. They went 8-9, and Rodgers was gone, and it was just such a disappointing end of the season in a must-win game. Once again, in a very similar situation, Green Bay, has won, the last 2 games in a row. They're now 8-8, and they're going to be at a home game against their biggest rival, the Chicago Bears, in a must-win game to go to the playoffs. I hope they come this week with a fucking attitude and mental focus to, be ready to go and battle these fucking guys, because you know what? They're not playing Jaren Hall. They're not playing Nick Mullins, in all due respect. They're playing Justin Fields. The kid is he's dynamic. He's in my, like, I compare him to Devin Hester. He, in a way, with his athleticism and the way he, with the football in his hand, he just absolutely makes plays, makes guys misses, and he changes the whole game. You know, in my opinion, I hope Chicago ships him off. I don't know if they're going to do that. You know, I hope they ship him off because I don't want him to see. I don't want him to be in the North anymore. I mean, he hasn't played great against Green Bay at all. He's never won against Green Bay, but the way, you know, Green Bay's ultimate kryptonite is a running quarterback, and he's between him and Lamar, and he's probably the best running quarterback, no doubt. And you know, this is, you know, a well-coached team. You know, my Bears fans, if they watch these, are going to be so mad at me because I'll just say Bears are an ascending team right now. They've won 4 out of their last 5 out of their last 7 they've won too, and they're getting better. Their defense is night and day different. Ever since they got Montez Sweat, they're turning the ball over. They're getting pressure. You know, Dexter, Sweat, all these guys they're playing great football right now, and I hope Green Bay does not take these guys lightly. Yeah, you know, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, well, Green Bay's won the last however many. They've won every game against the Bears since 2018, and I don't give a shit. This game is always means more, you know, and you know, these teams always fucking battle. These games, they might never be close, like, at the end of the scoreboard, but up until, like, the third, fourth quarters, or maybe the last drive, these games are always close. They're always tight-knit. This is the NFC North. These are just, you know, these teams study each other. So, like, every offseason, this is the game. And I hope Green Bay doesn't take these fucking guys lightly because they're a team that's getting better. You know, a team that you just need to come out and you need to fucking get after it. You gotta win, you gotta beat these guys. You know, you don't want you know, Chicago to beat Green Bay and send them out of the playoffs. You know, and vice versa. You need to beat these guys to get your chance at playing out of the 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles, or whatever. And man, I just can't wait. Well, you know, I always talk with my buddy. I always wish, like, you know, this rivalry would get back to that high pressure situation. You know, because, like, my favorite game of all time is the NFC Championship. You know, in 2010 with the Bears Packers, like, the emotions I felt, the adrenaline I was feeling, and then the feelings afterwards, like, that game gave me so much anxiety and so much happiness, like, at the same time. You know, I want that back, and, you know, unfortunately, you know, Chicago was eliminated tonight, but you know, they're playing for a lot still. You know, they got a lot of decisions to make this offseason, and you know, and obviously Green Bay is playing for fucking everything. They're playing for a chance to get in the dance, and then anything would happen. You know, I'm not saying they're going to win any playoff games, but, you know, we've seen crazier things happen. So, you know, once again, I just want to recap, you know, Bo Melton played a fucking great game today. You know, first guy over 100 yards receiving. Jaden Reed, absolute fucking dog. You know, he is him. He's wide receiver 1 for me. He gives me such Antonio Brown football vibes, not personality wise, but football vibes. He just because I don't want to say Tyreek Hill. He's like Tyreek Hill. He gives me so much Antonio Brown vibes on the football field. And, man, I love that guy. And we're going to need him next week. We're going to need Dontavian Wicks next week. Luke Musgraves is going to be fine to get back to the game. Christian Watson is going to be fighting back to get on the field next week. We could really use him. You know, Romeo Dobbs, you know, we're going to need a big game from him. Jordan Love, we're going to need a big game from him. But Joe, you know, it's going to come down to Green Bay's defense. I don't think they got better today, but it was nice to see Joe Barry dial up blitzes. But, man, we need the defense to fucking turn the ball over from Justin Fields next week. You know, get after him. The pass rush needs to be fucking on. Rashawn Gary, Luke Musgrave. Lucas Van Ness, all these guys need to fucking step it up. And man, one cool thing that I recently saw is Jordan Love, his season stats right now: 3,849 yards passing this season. So, and then 30 touchdown passes, which I think as of right now, I'd have to double check, is tied for first in the NFL. 30 touchdown passes, and he has three rushing touchdowns this season. So, man, what you know, I always think of what Aaron says. Once you play like this, you have to play consistent like this for years and years, year after year, because then there's that expectation. And Jordan Love has to do that to solidify that he is that guy, the next great one. But right now, he's playing great football and not turning the ball over. And man, it's just so cool. Again, I would have never thought that he would have had 3,800 passing yards and 30 passing touchdowns this year. Man, I'm so blessed to be born at this era, because it could be way worse. I could have been born in the 70s and 80s and fucking seen shit quarterback play, and who would have knows how my fandom would have been for the Green Bay Packers. But I was born in the early 90s, so I've just been blessed with quarterbacks. So once again, what a fucking great win over the Vikings, basically eliminating them. But I hope Green Bay comes with a fucking fire next week against Chicago, because Chicago wants to win. I know for a fact they want to win this one fucking bad over Green Bay. They want to eliminate the Packers. I hope Green Bay comes with a fucking passion, and I can't wait. I can't wait for next week. It's going to be great. So with that, just want to say thank you guys. Happy New Year. Thank you guys for watching this rant. I know these are probably too long, but thank you. And yeah, Happy New Year.